Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Biz Talk. My name is Rick Gutierrez. I am your host and your business advocate. Hey, every single week we are going to be here talking about business in general. We've got tons of different business professionals, business owners, business advocates that are going to be on the show just highlighting all of their knowledge in business. So we are excited about what we're doing. We're excited about the lineup of guests that we have. And I want to, just take the time to just congratulate every single business owner out there that is having great success, that have found some knowledge throughout their journey. And, what better way to pass it forward or pay it forward by coming on the show and just having these conversations so that other folks that are coming on board as far as business and or business ownership, they can learn from us and they can learn from those that have done it and have been there and seen some challenges and found some success. So with that said, I've got an amazing first guest on the show that we're going to be talking a lot of great things. I want to welcome back Mr. Greg Schaefer. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me back, Rick. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. I mean, last time we were here, we had a great conversation, and we just kind of touched a little bit on, some general aspects of the information security. But, you tell us a little bit more about vCISO Services LLC. What are you guys up to? What are you guys doing? What are you excited about?
Well, I formed the vCISO Services LLC in 2017 because I saw a need for small and mid-sized businesses to have access to the same information security risk management experience and knowledge that the big companies have. It's just that small businesses, medium-sized businesses, they really can't afford to hire a full-time chief information security officer. I mean, right now, the average compensation package is probably around $300,000 a year. Now, back then, the virtual CISO discipline was new, and I wanted to pivot my career to helping SMBs because SMBs, small and mid-sized businesses, they make up over 99% of the businesses out there. Now, a lot of them are single-person businesses, but still, it's a lot. 45% of employees are small business employees. So it's a very significant footprint there, which means that it's a very significant risk for the country's information security infrastructure and posture. Now, what we do a little bit differently than some virtual CISO providers is that our virtual CISOs either have been chief information security officers for a business full time previous in their career, or still do it and they do this as part of that as well, or they have a certification called the Certified Virtual CISO Level 2 or above, which is a fairly new certification, which basically one or both of those guarantees that the resources that we provide, they actually have the information security risk management skill set that you need as a small business owner. Because really, when all is said and done, our mission is to help. We'll only take on clients that want to build their information security programs, not just check a box for compliance, because we want to make a difference.
Absolutely, and it's all about making a difference, in the most positive way, setting up some businesses for success. But some of our business owners out there are probably wondering, how do you guys tailor some of your services to meet those unique needs for the small and mid-sized business?
Well, it all really kind of comes around to what the business is looking for. We had, for example, one instance where we had a very interesting project where business needed to become compliant with what they call SOC 2. And the reason why they needed to become compliant with that was because they had customers that were asking for that sort of attestation, if you will, that they are keeping information secure. Now, this was a small business. At the time, they only had about 22 employees, and I'd been working with them for a couple of years prior, building their information security program pretty much from almost nothing. Now, when it came time for the auditor to come in and check to see, I guess if you can say, having a SOC 2 audit is a rather involved process, takes several months, very involved, checking to see what it is you're doing to meet requirements and are you actually doing those. But when all was said and done, the company was able to pass the audit without any issues. And in fact, the auditor said that it was one of the most prepared companies that they had ever seen.
That's fantastic. So it's all about, setting them up for success and ensuring that you meet, exactly what it is that they're looking for. And sometimes we don't even need to go beyond that. It's just what they're looking for, right? That's fantastic. So one of the other things that we wanted to know more about, Greg, with the rapid evolution of cybersecurity threats, how does vCISO services stay ahead of all the information technology curve? I mean, there's got to be all kinds of knowledge that is just evolving every single day, if not every single hour.
It's kind of funny because yes, there is, but really, if a company is doing the basics right and the basics really don't change much, then a lot of the other issues that come up, they can just be absorbed, if you will. Like one example would be, we talk a lot about generative AI right now, for example. It's like, okay, that is a new technology out there that requires some sort of diligence to understand the risks involved. But that's where then the old process come into play. Whenever we talk about a new technology or a new process or a new service, the first thing that we always want to do is assess the risk. That's one of those standard basic things of any information security program. So when it comes to generative AI, it's just a matter of, well, what do you want to use it for? What kind of information are you putting in there? Are there different ways to do it? How are you ensuring that you're not putting confidential information in a public generative AI platform like ChatGPT, for example? And looking at the basics there. So another one would be, for example, business continuity in the event of an incident. Well, yes, we have all these incidents that could happen because of things like deep fakes, for example, where people are pretending to be somebody that they're not and trying to get folks to do something that they normally wouldn't do. But if we have the basics in place about understanding how to attack and manage business continuity. What I mean by that is that if you have an incident, you really want to make sure that a couple of things are going to happen. The first is that as the incident is happening, that you're still able to conduct business. You see a lot of folks that have ransomware infections. Recently, it seems like that there's been a prolific expansion about that towards healthcare agencies. But you can't just stop providing healthcare. You can't stop treating patients. You have to have some sort of a plan in place to make sure that you're countering these threats. Same thing with small and mid-sized businesses. Make sure that you have the plan in place. And then the other one is how are you responding to the incident because you want to make sure that you're able to recover from it. So you have to do those two things in parallel. Now, one other thing that we do is we regularly, the way I like to describe it is that we consume threat intelligence. And it doesn't mean we eat it. It means that we look for it, we understand it. If it's applicable to a particular organization, then we talk with the organization. And what I mean by threat intel is that sometimes it's just as simple as learning about something new. And believe it or not, LinkedIn is a very good platform for that because my colleagues might be talking about something before I am. But then it's also about understanding what they call the indicators of compromise, which are fingerprints, I guess you could call it, for bad things like malware and some other more detailed notifications in agencies like something like an Alien Vault or one of the information security and analysis centers provide that sort of thing. It is very important to keep up with this as the threat emerges, but really when it comes down to how you approach it, it's just all about the basic blocking and tackling.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you mentioned that I was kind of, it stuck out to me is like when an incident happens, right? Let's say an incident happens. Prior to it happening, there had to have been some type of indication, some sorts of, glitches or something that was happening. In order to avoid an incident, what aside from getting a hold of Greg Schaefer with vCISO Services, what are some of those vulnerabilities that the small, mid-sized business owner should be looking for?
You need to be monitoring your environment, your network, and I always encourage folks to have a baseline understanding, a datum, if you will, of what your environment looks like. So we're very big about metrics and information security. Sometimes it's hard to define, but it isn't necessarily sometimes what the metrics are so much as it is the trending of the metrics. So you might look at, say, your firewall has 20,000 VPN connection attempts that were foiled like 1 month, and then 1 month it's 100,000. Well, why did it go up from 20 to 100,000? There's going to be a certain amount of background noise there, so it's not as if like the 20,000 is necessarily a bad thing. It's just one of those things. If you normally have 20,000, 20,000, 20,000 going on, well, then probably there's no indication that something bad is about to happen. But if suddenly something like that spikes, or if you start seeing more phishing emails come in, or if you see more attempts to get in through other ways, then it's something to look out for. And the reason why I brought up the VPN example is that that's actually a real thing right now in the financial services industry. Several of our clients, it seems like, that they're getting knocked on the VPN door more. We're not sure exactly what that means, except for that it probably means that they're trying to exploit financial services a little bit more.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So it's just about me being cognizant and paying attention to all of those little things that you see as abnormal, but we get busy on a day-to-day basis as a business owner that we kind of not really pay attention, but they're crucial, that we pay attention to that. Greg, we've come to an end of this segment here, so we're gonna take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.